Oh, he said, she said, they said, we said, keeping it real with Wanda. Oh, she's the real deal, keeping it real for real, keeping it real with Wanda. Oh, all inclusion, no confusion. But he said, she said, clearing up the drama with Wanda.
Hey, perfect timing. Hey, it's me, Wanda B, and you are tuned in to He Said, She Said on IntellectualRadio.com. And I'm back. It's Sunday. It's fun day. We are going to have some fun today. I have a full house of co-hosts today. I have Nemia, affectionately known as N. Dot, and I have Marcus. Yeah, that mic isn't on. Uh-oh. Do your real deep voice again. One more time. You turn me up.
Oh, there it is.
Okay, let's make sure the mic's on. We're not trying to cancel you. We were waiting on that.
Mic check,
voice.
mic check.
This one. Talk.
Oh, there you go.
Am I on? My dear Facebook friends, we are still we are testing microphones. We want to make sure we get the deep voice.
He's just
going.
so soft, you know. He got the
now go back to the deep voice. Say it again one more time. Turn it up some more.
Yeah,
there we go. I still don't like this.
This man said the hour, Jesus.
And my favorite comedian, she makes me hoot, holler, laugh, woo woo. The notorious, fabulous, none other than comedian T Bizzle.
Ooh, let me get your check right now.
Bring that giggle in the middle.
Right. Hey, everybody. I'm so excited. I haven't seen N. Dot in a while, and she's expecting a baby.
I know.
We're gonna have a little Dot.
Yes,
a little Dot.
a baby intellectual. Let's
Big Dot.
N. Dot, and does he have? Don't, you can't tell us on there. Anyway, we're gonna talk names later. Yeah. So you guys, we're gonna have a discussion today that will not be for the kiddies. So this is going to be a disclaimer that you may want to. It may get a little raunchy in the beginning of the show, maybe at the middle, and maybe at the end too, because we're going to talk about some WAP today. So take the kiddies. If you know what that stands for, we'll tell you in a second. I'm going to give you a moment to move them away from your Facebook Live, move them away from Spreaker, move them away from...
Take your phone off
Bluetooth. Move them away, take it off Bluetooth. Tell Alexa to be quiet a second while you put on your headphones. However, you listen to IntellectualRadio.com. We're going to tell you this one may not be for the kiddies, but actually, why I want to talk about it is because maybe our people actually playing this for their kiddies.
You got some people that are. Yes, ma'am.
I'm going to introduce you to this song because I saw people talking about WAP and I thought that stood for white people, something about white people. I didn't know.
Oh, they tried it. they tried to say, "Oh, I can't believe Cardi B is insulting us." With I guess WASP is an insult to the Italian population, but they just took the 3 letters. You know, the Karens of the world.
I really did think it was short for something. I only heard about it on or read briefly about it on social media, and so when you sent me, let's talk about this, I was like, what is a WAP? what and then when my social media guru Maven, she keeps me abreast on anything hip hop, anything what else? Ratchet TV,
Ebonically speaking.
She gives me back my black card. She teaches me.
I try to get her to maintain her black card so y'all won't snatch it.
It's the only reason it's not snatched on a daily basis because mine is not. So I pulled up the lyrics and I listened to the song. You sent me the video. So have you seen the video? Let me know. If you're on my social media, I want you to share the broadcast. Also, let me know if you've seen WAP and what you think about it. But these are the lyrics of it. And it says WAP, which stands for wet, A, and you know the 3-letter word for A. I don't know if I could say, I meant to vagina. I meant to say, ask, our super producer Earl Winfrey what language I could use. I already asked about the D word for penis, but I forgot to ask about the P word. Can I say that word on the radio? No, I
We
can't.
can say the
really.
urban word for
Vagina. Vajayjay. So your wet a vajayjay. Use the P word though for that. It's Cardi B's first release of 2020 and it's the first single since 2019's Press. It is expected to appear on her upcoming second studio album that also marks her first collab with Megan Thee Stallion. And they call it a pervading feeling of female empowerment and sexual liberation. And it can be seen throughout the lyrics. So here are the lyrics.
Go ahead.
It's the old song or the house song. There's some hoes in this house. There's some hoes in this house.
Yeah, that was
that's playing in the background.
Right.
Kinda. That starts it.
Thank you, Jack Farley for making that in.
I said certified freak 7 days a week. When you read it like this, it's not gonna sound as cool as she makes it sound. WAP. I'm gonna use the acronym WAP. WAP make that pull out game weak. Yeah, you effing with some WAP. Bring a bucket and mop up this wet AP. I'm gonna call it wet AP. Give me everything you got for this wet AP. Beat it up, catch a charge, extra large and extra hard. Put this P right in your face, swipe your nose like a credit card. Hop on top, I want to ride. I do a Kegel while it's inside. Spit in my mouth, look in my eyes. This P is wet. Come take a dive. Tie me up like I'm surprised. Let's role play. I'll wear a disguise. I want you to park that Big Mac truck right in this little garage. Make it cream, make it scream out in public, make a scene. I don't cook, I don't clean, but let me tell you, I got this ring. Wow, okay. Do I keep going?
No. That's enough.
That's enough to let you know what.
If you do Megan's part, I think we'll be R-rated.
Okay, let me do it. Gobble me, swallow me, drip down the side of me, quick jump out for you, let it get inside of me. I tell him where to put it, never tell him where I'm about to be. I run down on him for I have a ninja running me. Talk your shit, bite your lip. Oops, was I supposed to say shit? Anyway, ask for a car while you ride that penis. While you ride that penis, you really ain't never gotta F him for a thing. You already made his mind up before he came. Now get your boots and your coat for this wet AP. He bought a phone just for pictures of this wet AP. Pay my tuition just to kiss me on this wet AP. Now make it rain if you want to see some wet AP. Walking in, when you walk into this, as we're talking, this is very funny. When we come back, we're going to have some more. We're going to take a quick break. I want you to share this broadcast with me, and when we come back, we're going to dive into some wet AP.
Dive into it? No pun intended, right?
No, I'm not diving.
She said, clearing up the drama with Wanda.
Hey, it's me, Wanda B, and we are back. This is He Said, She Said on IntellectualRadio.com. I have added a person in that quick break. I hope you got some water, wiped yourself dry from the lyrics.
Whoa, Wanda's on a roll. You're doing good with your black card today. She's coming to the cookout.
All right.
Okay, so we have with us none other than James Borshade, our certified life coach. Yay. What you got to say about this wet AP we've been talking about so far? Get wet. Go in.
All right.
Dive in.
All
right.
So what you let your daughters listen to the wet AP song?
There'll be a clean version. It's going to play on radio.
How do you clean that up?
There's worse playing on radio right now.
Correct.
Wait a minute. Am I the only person that did not that was amazed by the literal amazing pictures that were painted and illustrated
I think it's a very good video.
Those lyrics were Shakespearean.
Oh, okay.
Listen, it was.
He's been drinking, everybody. Just don't pay
It's
clever.
It is very clever. I
the
can
lyrics are
appreciate what do they call it when you use
The puns?
not pun, but you use other words.
Oh, your
the
metaphor.
Okay.
Yeah, I love the metaphor of it all. Like it's they deserve credit. They will. I think they will.
Yeah,
They
of
will.
course
The
they
video
will.
is
It's already breaking
entertaining.
record.
It already broke a record.
Broke records the first night.
Yeah, it's number 2 trending. But it's gonna break another record because Kylie Jenner is in it, and so on and so forth.
Yeah.
It'll really go up now. You got Kylie in with the extra booty she bought, so
All of them
It's
got extra
gonna-
booty. Maybe not
Yeah.
Megan, but
no, I
Cardi
think
B
Megan
at the
just
very
fit.
end, she walked out and I was like, come on now. That didn't look. It was.
Well, she
Yeah,
admits it. She got a bad job.
Yeah.
Oh,
her
she
and-
She's just
admits
dealing
it.
with it.
Yeah, her and Tiny, they got bad jobs.
Everybody worked as hard as they could.
I'm sure you did, Mark. That's Baby Usher for you, see? That's his confessions.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Baby Usher. I did. After I
the
saw the
effort of what?
The athletic abilities of the ladies on the video.
Yeah, they were all doing splits. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, and those backside raises, they were just amazing.
Well, I don't have much negative to say about it at all. It's nothing
So
new.
why are people saying negative things about it?
Because we say negative things about women speaking this way. It's just not nice. One of my friends yesterday posted, "It's okay to be a lady, ladies. Men still appreciate that." Like, how do we get there from having a conversation about its music?
But what about portions of this song where she says, and I can see men getting upset about this. I don't cook, I don't clean, but
She ain't lying though.
Right, she was
She
very
got the
honest.
I know a lot of dudes that are married or dating and with somebody who
She don't
Got the
cook,
WAP?
got the WAP.
Yeah.
And they're proud of it. Like,
Yeah. If she don't have the WAP, she has the MP, and everybody know what that means.
I don't. Tell me after this.
A song is like a photograph, where it's like it's a moment in time of painting a particular type of picture. So that's not a representation of how every woman is, black woman is towards their significant other. It's a party song. And like the people that consume that type of music, that's the way they digest that lyric. But it's not a representation of how all of us.
I agree. It is a party song. I have not, on the way here, I thought about it because when we do have specifically women that come out with songs that are raunchy, there is this huge conversation around it. And I was like, there's not one song in history that inspired me to do anything in life. Like nothing.
Not that I know.
Not drive, not go to school, not drop out of school. There's not one song I can point to and be like, you know what? It was that song that really changed the trajectory of my life. I think it's an easy scapegoat to say, well, what about the kids and the influence it's going to have on kids? Your cousin got more influence on your kid than Megan, the baby, little baby, your mama baby, whatever, all the babies that's out right now rapping. I don't know who's who.
So let me. I'm going to take a moment and read some of the comments. Devoting a whole show to bad backsides now, fantastic. Because I know you're going to say something smart, John. You can either log out if you like to, but we also are going to be talking about. Let me throw this in there. We're going to be talking about today Common and the accused. I can only put one caption on there, but I will write in
John,
what the other topics will be. So we'll be talking about Common and his accused sexual.
Common been all over the news.
I know.
He's trending for real.
Black women running mate for Biden, whether or not he should choose a black woman or not. Some more of the topics we'll be talking about today. I just put that one because you won't hear, I see, so obviously it catches some attention.
Right.
So let's see what else. Hey, Tiffany asked you. So thank you guys for watching. We're going to talk about so much more because that's how we are. But right now we're talking about this video because I was seeing a lot of posts devoted to this. You know what? I'm gonna find. I hope Kelly. I didn't tell her before that I was gonna mention it, but Kelly Renee had a post. I'm gonna look for her post to read too.
I think we need to be very, very careful that we don't that we stop appointing people to represent us. There's Megan Thee Stallion, Cardi B. They do have a platform. There are young people that pay attention to them, but they're not our standard bearers. And like some of the stuff that's going on in the Black community, where we're forced for athletes and rappers and R&B singers to be our advocates and speak for us, and they shouldn't. And we shouldn't even be having a conversation like Megan Thee Stallion or Cardi B is an ambassador for how all of us think or how all of us talk. And like we could choose to dig deeper into that song and find like it's the Illuminati, like we're trying to find hidden meaning in the lyrics or something. We can choose to do that, but at a certain point in time, all of us should be able to just say time out and just a song.
That would be common sense, but
well, look, I survived. Look, right. Him. I can remember having a portable CD player. I traveled from me and my mom lived in the Austin area, and I went to school on 50th and Laughlin at Richards. So it was about an hour and a half, 2 hour commute. I can remember that one day vividly having my Lil Kim's hardcore CD playing on the bus and the train and rapping the lyrics out loud. Just because, I wanted to be a hardcore rapper. And in hindsight, I was like, Lil Kim lyrics was
yeah. They
pearl were clutching.
Explicit.
However, I never was like, okay, I'm gonna do this, when I none of that was my go-to or my motto for how I was conducting myself. Like it didn't deter me from going to school and ditch to go,
But can we say that for everybody though? There are some.
I don't know many people that have really been influenced by music.
So you don't think music influences?
So our grandmamas, blues is probably second raunchiest to rap. And I can't say that my grandmama was like, she was gonna do half the stuff, or I overheard during card games about what they were gonna do or not do. I think there's a balance. And we don't give credit for having balance in our household prior to all of this. Music has been around. It does have a role in society. It does mark like where you were in life when this dropped, and kind of is the soundtrack for different eras. But I don't think it has as much influence as we say. If you're if you're not talking on a more spiritual level, if that's where you are in life, but other than that, like it's entertainment like everything else.
It marks time. Like when I was 20, 21 years old, I don't necessarily remember moments. I remember when a certain song come on, it take me back to that moment. Now that I'm older, no music really has that type of impact. But when I was, like you say, a song never made me do anything. To me, it's similar to the Tyler Perry situation. Like they'll say all of his characters and movies are stereotypic, but he'll come out and say, I'm making those for a particular audience. There are people that's consuming WAP and they know better than that, but they listening to it when they're going out to have a good time. They're not listening to it at church or at school. Song.
Yeah.
James, you have a thought? You look so perplexed and confused over there.
Because he's thinking like, how did we get here, beloved? I know he is.
There's so much I want to say about this.
Let's hear it.
I don't even know where to start.
Well, we wait and go. I really want to hear you. Come on, JB, because I love your words.
We're in the middle of a war of how we are represented as a people. That is the war we're in the middle of. And the WAP is dropped and is breaking records. We're in the middle of a war of how people view African American, our culture, our heritage, who we are as a people, and the WAP dropped in the middle of the war. And it's skewing again how we took 10 steps forward and just took 8 back with the way we're viewed as a people. Whether we want to believe it or not, whether we like to believe it or not, we are in a war with how people view us.
And I agree with you on that, but that poses us as being one dimensional, that we can't handle more than one thing. We can't have entertainment and fight a war. At the end of the day, yesterday, and I said, and we're still fighting for justice for Breonna Taylor. We're still believing Black Lives Matter. And I still think that WAP is a catchy strip club song. It to say that we have to be this modest people in order to fight social justice is doing a disservice to us, because it says that we have to be a particular way at all times, and it excludes who we are as a culture.
So I'm not saying we have to be a particular way at all times. I'm saying right now we're in the middle of a war, imagery wise. What are there are billions of impressions of black people of people on television. Out of the billions of impressions, probably most of the impressions paint African Americans in a negative light. We should not add to that at this particular time. That's my thoughts.
Yeah,
I think it's
I don't think that's our responsibility though.
And I think it's
You,
fair.
wait. You don't think what's our
I don't think our responsibility is to cater to our imagery of how people perceive us.
Okay.
It's like when we do get white people to say, well, why do you feel racism exists? It's not my responsibility to explain it to you. It's your responsibility to do the work and gain the knowledge. Now, if I choose to give you the information, great. But it's not my burden to have to then go further to give you examples. It's your burden to go and search that information.
I actually think that's why we are where we are. We feel like it's not our responsibility. Every other culture makes it their own responsibility to own the way they are viewed.
Exactly. But they don't go out of their way to explain. They are just being. And then we pick up from, oh, so this is who you are. This is who you are. Oh, you're multidimensional. White people like hardcore rock music and drugs, and they get up and go to work, and they do all of these other things. We're the only ones that say, no, 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 no. Don't take Cardi B as our only example. Look, we also have the Cosby S examples that exist too.
And perhaps a bridge between the two of you, because I do agree that, like, hey, we're at war right now, but from a allocation of resources standpoint, if we're at war and we've appointed Cardi B and Megan Thee Stallion to be on the first line of defense, I think it exposes that how poorly organized that we are, because I think the sense of urgency that you talk about is valid. And I think the point that you're making is valid. We are at war and we need to do better, because if we are having a conversation about, like, man, I hope Megan Thee Stallion and Cardi B can get it done for us, we lost.
So when you're fighting a war, the way you beat a people, any war, and you Sun Tzu, the way you divide and conquer. And so no, we don't appoint Cardi B to represent us, but to whom much is given, much is required.
Fair enough.
Number two, I'm not talking about our imagery to white people. I could care less about that. I'm talking about our imagery to ourselves. We don't control the way we are portrayed, and therefore our kids don't know who we are as a people. And so the times that we get an opportunity to portray ourselves, whether it's whoever's movie, whether it's whoever's song, whether it's whoever's part you want to play in a play, we have to be mindful of what we are choosing to portray as our people. And whether people like it or not, know it or not, want to be it or not, when you take the check, when you collect the dollars, when you get on the screen, you represent something.
Now, I agree.
Us having that
that
conversation, WAP got released 4 days ago. And again, I don't disagree with anything that you're saying. I think there's a large percentage, and I may be included in this too, that don't understand how important what you're saying is. And then we talk about it after WAP come out. And I think even that's distracting, because if this was going to be a unifying moment, if it was the catalyst or the initiator to start the conversation you're talking about, we wondering about like the cleavage they showing, and is that appropriate when I think we at war? And while the cleavage and the imagery and what AP, whatever that stands for, I think we can't get sidetracked from that, because what's really important is what you're talking about. So if we're having a conversation just about the imagery, we still lost because we're not focusing on what you're talking about.
And I
The
think what
imagery
Nimi
is
is saying
part
is
of
we
the
could do
war.
it both at the same time.
Yeah. And I
Correct.
think, and in that sense, I do say it is our job to take responsibility, but it's also our job to say, okay, these girls just singing, and Breonna Taylor's murderers still have not been arrested. I think we give way more pressure on these smaller things than, quite frankly, they deserve. Because before WAP came out, you still had all of these trap songs that were playing on prime radio without anyone so much as blinking an eye. You had radio songs that were talking about um, assaulting women or sexually abusing women in a sense that we didn't bat an eye to. So then it to me it goes back to what is it about WAP that has so many people up in arms, because this ain't the first song. This isn't the only song on the top 10 that talks about sex explicitly.
It
And
has
it's the only one that's getting this type of
it
energy.
has Cardi
I'll
B
tell
and
you
Megan Thee
why.
Stallion on it.
Because what Cardi B, what this song should have shown Cardi B is the influence you really have that you don't even know you have. The reason it's so up in arms is because people know Cardi B has that kind of influence. She has not accepted that whether you like it or not, she
No,
has that
I
kind
mean,
of
she
influence.
does. She has strip culture influence.
Right.
I don't think she has much more. Like Cardi B started on Ratchet Television. Cardi B has
did.
always been
Yes.
our unintelligent person for the mass media. Cardi B is the first person to tell you that, people saw her as a character because she portrayed herself as a character. She's not tried to change her imagery at all. She has been consistent with her who she is and what she stands for. And I for one, I accept her for that. Like the song is it's going to be, if not already, it's going to be a strip club banger.
Oh, of course.
So I mean, that is her ultimate end goal. We're the ones saying no. Her music. Like I don't want. I'm with you, Marcus. I don't want Cardi B to lead nothing.
If we-
However, Cardi B has put herself on the front line for a lot more social influences than most rappers have, and
Exactly.
but not in a real serious way. When she called out Donald Trump, it was to troll Donald Trump.
Well, that was her way of being serious.
Yeah.
And her Instagram went up to I think at that time it was up to 200,000 followers anyway. So then she gained another million because of her Trump comments and tweets on her Instagram. But back to what brother JB said, uh, unfortunately, right now with this war, like instead of us waiting to see if we ever going to get this second stimulus and whatever's going to happen with the unemployment compensation part, we are all on WAP. Because I'm like you, Wanda. I didn't know what it meant. I thought it was a new dance. I was thinking about the WAP,
He's doing the
this
WAP.
way. So when my niece told me, she was like, "No, auntie, that means blank, blank, blank," and I was, "Oh." So that's to take us away back to what he just said from what's more important.
Now,
We busy, oh, they talking about I didn't cook, and oh, this is how you pay your college tuition. Well, I'm out of college. I do cook and clean, have a clean house, but I don't think I'm gonna be putting on my social media. Hey, I got this WAP.
I think if we took it as, I don't think we're taking it as serious as we should from us being at war. But I think if we were doing what we were supposed to be doing, and like I think it's some pretty intelligent people in this room, and we devised a plan, that would never be part of it. We would never say, all right,
Cardi
Megan Thee
B, you
Stallion,
lead the.
you lead
Meg,
they
you
would
lead.
even us as collateral damage, we would say, hey, we're not going to stop you from making a living. We know what type of music you're making. We know that we're not in a parliament or a Congress while you're doing your music. But we're not taking it that serious, and we don't know that we're at war. So it gets us mixed up in these conversations where I think this distracts, like a hour or 30 minutes that we spend talking about the validity of that when it's just not valid. Cardi B and Megan Thee Stallion, they're not our standard bearers. And we could focus more time on how do we organize, how do we understand and accept that we are at war, and who should be on the front lines for us? Who will we nominate to speak for us?
Well,
It's
let
clear
me
they
jump
can't.
Chime
in.
in real quick.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
The reason these types of conversations are important is because people don't know we're at war.
Thank you.
And that is one of the greatest tricks of being at war, is to not let people know that you're at war. So no, that's number one. Number two, when you have these types of conversations, it lets people know, young people, old people know that, listen, whether you like it or not, you are a role model. Whether you say the people who are role models oftentimes say, I'm not a role model. What you're really saying is, I'm not comfortable being one. But when you collect the check, you represent something or someone. They're giving you a check for a reason. For a reason. Now, I told you I had so much I'm thinking about in this one conversation. I'll flip this. Cardi B has said, before she put out this song, she said, listen, the reason I talk about my thing is because she said, first she said it's my best friend, it's her best friend. And then number two, she said, that's all y'all want to hear about. She said, when we put out music about something else, it didn't do nothing. So I'm gonna go back to talking about what you all want to hear. And that, what she did right there, is an indictment of, she indicted us.
But that releases the responsibility from the listener. Like, I have a responsibility on myself that when I listen to Cardi B, that it don't make me want to go to a strip club and get. The music business has been exploited as long as there's been a music business, and these Caucasian folk that own these companies, yes, they exploit us. They take the parts about us that would destroy us and they put it on the airwaves and they bombard us with it. But we have a responsibility as well to know better. So again, I'm not distancing myself from what you're saying. I'm saying we need to get closer to that. And that responsibility that all of us have in this room, they're like, hey, that's not real. Let's get to the real issues because we are at war. We losing some time with this one. People got to know better. You know better.
But they don't.
I think that that to me is the discredit that we give people.
But to
Even
ourselves, that discredits
yeah,
ourselves.
when you said people don't know we are at war, this is the one time it is clear that we are at war. Now people don't know how we're fighting the war, but they know, and there's no excuse. You would have to be Ray Charles and have hearing ailments to not know that we are at war.
You would be
Now they
surprised.
well, hear me out though. It's not that people don't know we're at war. It's again, they don't know where they stand in the war. We've not done a good job to say, okay, this is what we need collectively. This is how we organize. This is how these are some of the things in just the Chicagoland area that we're fighting for. After our social unrest, the next biggest thing we heard about was the kids that were able to get the Columbus statue taken down. Kudos for them. But then it turned into this big social debate about whether the girl deserved her teeth knocked out. Like that's not the war. The war is, again, it goes back to police brutality. Why are police emboldened to feel that aggressively during a protest? To use your fists, not any of the physical things that you're given with. So I think it's a matter of we have to take responsibility for not putting forward information out. So when the Cardi B's of the world drop a song, it does not distract. We don't do anything with our idle time in between these big social media topics and headlines.
In terms of WAP, and if again, I agree that we're at war, but when America was actually at war, like the last big war, World War II, the entertainment that the troops got were USO shows, and they would be little pinups walking around with signs saying you should buy junk bonds or you should do this. And that was a form of entertainment, and they were still able to wake up the next day and go fight a war. We at war, but don't get it twisted. Don't let ourselves be sidestepped into this conversation to a point. Not saying that it's not valid, but if we organize, we would know better, and Cardi B and Megan Thee Stallion would be in their proper position, and we would have appointed somebody else because we got our agenda, and it's somebody else that more correctly represents what we're trying to say. Because I mean, on that note, I'll let you, and you talk for me. before I let Cardi B and Megan Thee Stallion talk for, and it ain't even a question. And again, I agree with you, Jay. A lot of people don't know, and that's more of a problem than us trying to figure out is Cardi B and Megan Thee Stallion right. Like a lot of people don't even know how serious this is.
Yeah. So number one, the fact that we're at war is a problem. Number two, once you get people to know we're at war, the next thing we have to get people to understand is how are wars fought.
That's what I said.
But I think we haven't hit step one yet. That we are at war. Listen, artists, athletes, and celebrities sell. Whether you want to believe it, whether you want to admit it, they sell. This is why endorsement deals. This is why you get paid millions upon millions of dollars to endorse a product because people. That's part of war. People know if I put a face that's recognizable and attached to the product, it's going to sell.
And here's the thing, and I'm glad you said that because Nina Simone does say that art should reflect the times, and in times of war, your artistry should reflect that. So prior to WAP, you had a beautiful collaboration of Black is King. One of the little babies, the boys, or one of these little rappers, also came out with a rap track about police brutality. Even before that, when Black Lives Matter really hit the pavement, Kendrick Lamar came up with To Kill a Butterfly. I believe that's the name of that album. So our artistry, the ones that we want to influence, they've been doing that. I'm giving them credit. They've been pushing out the work. But again, that's relying on someone that's not in your community to teach your community. What are you doing on the ground level? And that's what I said to my friends after we had over 80, 90 uh, conversations going about WAP. So, what are you doing as a parent, though? Like, so we know Cardi B is doing this, but when's the last time you made your child bring their cell phone in your room, dock it, and go through their text messages? When's the last time you looked through your child's social media handles? When's the last time you looked through and or set in while they're playing Fortnite? The things that you can influence, I think we are very passive about.
If we legitimately talking about a war, though, I I agree again. How wars are fought has a lot to do with the resources at your disposal, and I think it's more of the more deeper question that we're going to get to if we're talking about being at a war and how do we fight one and how do we allocate resources is they do have a platform. It is income producing. You're going to need funds. You're going to need to organize. Would we put them out there and would we exploit them ourselves to create to keep the coffers at a certain point in time to continue to fight this war? Because we have NBA players, we have athletes, we have actresses where we're going to have to fund it. And I think we try to follow like a moral compass of did you see what she said? And it's like, no, we at war. And if we really serious about it, we might look at that differently.
So we're gonna get to some of our Facebook comments. You guys have really been chiming in. You read Sherelle Brown. She said Cardi B is doing Cardi B. Some of her comments
Okay.
about Cardi B.
Sherelle Brown said, Cardi is doing Cardi. She is making change in her own way. She speaks on all the shit stuff that is going on. Her music is another part of her. To call her unintelligent is stupid. And Sherelle, I called her what she called herself. I wasn't poking fun on her at all. I do know that she is
Super intelligent.
doing what she's doing what she does. Yeah.
Rico Cooper said, when you view your own heritage as demonic and what is shoved down your throat as positive, then we have lost. It also starts in school where most Black imagery isn't positive. We are very passive about the major issues.
And I'm glad she said that because Black is King is literally a Black depiction of the Lion King. But there has been another sidebar rather than seeing it as an uplifting video. Now we're looking at how demonic it is and that Beyonce is the devil and she drinks his blood and all of this other sidebar stuff rather than saying, okay, that's just another example of how multifaceted we are. You're gonna have your Beyonces of the world, and let's not forget this is the same Beyonce that has a song called "Blow," and it's not about candy, licking a candy pop. It's about pretty much the same thing that Cardi B is talking about and why. But she's multifaceted enough that she is able to go in and out of these role modeling roles. Even when she came out with her most explicit album, she was not held to a standard. She was considered to be a feminist, embodying and owning her feminine energy. But you have the Cardi B, and she's not. She's considered to be the ratchet.
So I actually don't blame the artist, even though I actually don't put all of the blame on the artist. Because when you're trying to feed your family, you give to the consumer what the consumer wants. Absolutely. We as a culture, this is telling us, unfortunately, that this is the dominant force in today's time and culture. That's a hard mirror to look at. Whether we want to believe it or not, this is a dominant force in today's culture. She came out with this song 4 days ago. It's everywhere.
It's number two trending
everywhere.
And that's what we fail to see, that picture. Again, I don't blame, like you said, the artist. A lot of times, me being a comedian, I might say a joke about number 45, or I might lay into that might be on my set. I might want to talk about Cardi B. I might want to use some of the the lyrics in some of my jokes, and then people are like, well, that wasn't appropriate, or this wasn't the time for it. Well, when is the time for it?
Can we do both at the same time? Can we fight the war and be entertained by Cardi B at the same time? No,
not us.
Not this war.
Not us. Yeah,
because the war is about the imagery of Black people. That is the war. The reason why officers are afraid when they pull over a Black car is because of the billions of images they see of quote unquote Black people as thugs. So whether we like to believe it or not, these people are terrified. Black cops are terrified when they pull over Black people because of the imagery.
However, you can't make a statement like that and not look at the historical context of policing. When we look at the historical context of policing, since slavery, we were seen as deviant. We were seen as violent. That's why, we got these slaves on the run, so now we need officers to catch them. That is perpetuated. That had nothing to do with us. That had everything to do with them and their imbalance. So again, it goes back to, why are we looking at it? We're looking at us and saying we need to change how we look, when the conversation should be, so this isn't working for policing, so we need to change policing. We don't need to go back and say, they're afraid because boys are walking down the street with their pants down, or the woman had a hair bonnet, so she has to be a old ghetto ratchet baby mama. No, that doesn't mean that. That just means that she want to maintain a weave. And I even had to check myself on how I look at my people. I'm not offended when I see a Black man with his pants hanging. That's him. That's his body. It doesn't make my bowels move one way or the other. The same thing with the mama with the hair bonnet who wears the pajamas to pick up her kids. I think we do a lot of disservice in feeding into that mess of how they see us, rather than saying, and so now what? That does not mean that that's who I am.
I'm not talking about they. Let's forget they. What you just said is the way we are seen. In other words, the imagery that people have of us is negative. That has been the war from the beginning.
So how is that my responsibility?
I'll tell you how. Because when you're at war, the opposite side is going to do their job and paint you in the negative light that they need you to be seen. You should not then paint yourself in the same light that they're painting, because you literally are fighting the war against yourself. So we already know.
But then that goes into, I wear my hair kinky. So does that mean that because there's this image of kinky hair that I should then go relax my hair? So when you come in the room, you're more comfortable, and then you get to see that I'm a kind, intelligent person. I don't.
That's a kindergarten way of fighting that war. What we as a people should do is all of us should start putting our hair kinky and showing that kinky is normal. This is us. This is normal.
In that same manner, we should embrace what we don't deem to be as conservative or fit our box narrative. How is the guy who wears, in the 90s, it was baggy pants. That was just the trending thing to wear. However, they got deemed as the doughboys. Not all of them were doughboys.
Because shouldn't we also be teaching ourselves, because we are at war, and we shouldn't be seeking validation or to be seen a certain type of way, even to ourselves. But another principle should be, we should be able to listen to a song and not freak out. We should be able to listen to a song and not feel like, well, Wanda, you're probably like that, or Teresa, you're probably like that because I heard it on a song. We also should be training ourselves to not be victim to things like that. That's like, as a little kid, you learn, like, if other friends jumping off a bridge, you're not going to jump either. We can listen to a song, we can make Boys in the Hood and enjoy it as a movie, and then get out of there and know that we can talk to our children about, hey, that was just a movie. We need to do that as well, and that's just as valuable.
Well,
Yes, and
one reason we can do that is because we all partake in it, and it's almost like we can't help it. We are all subject to saying, "Well, let me scroll and see what Cardi B doing." We're not scrolling and looking at Brother Rizza Islam and seeing what he's posting about where we can go to our Congress, or where we can voice it's okay to have kinky hair and still get a 9 to 5 job, or it's okay if your pants might be sagging. That doesn't mean you don't have your doctorate in human psychology. First thing they're gonna say is, "Oh, he nice looking, but his pants sag." So you're already in that, like she said, that's that narrative. Oh well, he looked this way, so that must mean he act this way. So we just put in a box. Cardi B, that's what our man is on. This morning I didn't get up to look and see, like I said, what Islam said about, okay, we'll do this, and this is what Trump signed on these four executive orders.
In the midst of all of the talk about WAP, Trump
Sign executive
used
order.
executive orders
Yeah,
yesterday.
yeah.
Like,
I mean,
like
he-
straight
he-
no
which-
Congress,
Yeah,
nothing.
you see?
With the pen.
I mean, he
This
is
is now law.
I
He
saw his
demanded
address,
clean,
but I
you
didn't get
know?
into
No,
how
Yeah.
deep he was going.
Yeah. Oh, he
yeah,
was.
yeah,
He went
yeah.
to-
He was reckless.
Yeah.
He
And
was
neither
very
one was
reckless.
the stimulus, but
And it didn't go unnoticed.
It didn't
No,
go unnoticed.
no.
But see, again, I think I keep using the terms "we are at war" because I don't think people understand the veracity of the war we're in. And we have been at war for hundreds of years about who we are. The question isn't why is the young man with his pants down? The question is who made wearing your pants down cool and for what reason? Because what does pants here's what we as African Americans have to understand. It ain't just America. There's a whole nother world viewing us. The rest of the world is viewing America is at war with us. But the war that America has against us is affecting how other people see us. It's affecting how we see ourselves. We have to define who we are. For hundreds of years, our identity has been sold to us. Here's what I told my kids. If you don't know who you are, a person can sell you who you are and you'll buy it.
Oh,
You don't know your own name, you will be sold your name and you will buy it. That's why my kids are like, okay, I don't have to have X person's name on my shoes or my shirt. I can do that because I want to. I know my name and I know what my name means. I know what it stands for. You understand what I'm saying?
I
But
think
how
what-
many kids can say this?
I think you hitting it right on the head, but we playing into what you're talking about right now. Like, I know what my name is, so I can listen to whatever I want to listen to. I know what my name is and who I am, so I can watch stuff on TV. I can sit with a white person and he can tell me I don't like black people, and I'm not gonna freak out. Okay, bro, you don't have anything to do with my day. I think what you're saying is valid, but in some ways we feeding into that right now as if we don't know our name. And the problem is a lot of us don't know our name.
Right.
We should be able to have this conversation. I think everything you're saying is valid. Everything you're saying is valid. And at the end, if we have it the right way, we get closer to a consensus because there's intelligence in the room.
Absolutely.
When we stop, when we keep the focal points on things that, since we are at war, if we were generals, we would not be talking about this right now. There are other things we would be talking about if we were at war. And like, since we know who we are and we know we at war, let's go fight a war. This is media. This is TMZ we doing right now.
So check this out. Listen, I don't know how many of you on this stage or the panel is African, but my parents are from Africa. We are Nigerian. We speak Yoruba. In the Nigerian culture, if your neighbor don't know his name, you don't know your name either. We're the culture for the people. If one of us don't know, we are literally only as good as the weakest person in our group. This is why when you roll with a pack of Nigerians, you typically are going to be hard pressed to find a weak one in the group because we make sure you are built up, and every culture does that. The United States is the only culture that has that is fighting to pit us against one another.
Well, we don't have a culture. Our culture was stripped away. And so even when we talk about imagery, even when we talk about how we should be, um, how we should represent ourselves, what then is the example?
I agree that you are bringing your culture straight from Africa. We got stripped from Africa so long ago and told we were bad, told we were this. They pit us against each other
We just can't
way
get it
back
right.
then. So it's very hard to it's hard to fix. Now they've made this is what they do. They've been doing it to us for the last 300, I don't know how many years of pitting us against each other. They stripped us from that very culture that you're so connected to, James. We're so far removed from it.
Well,
Yes, but
and
the
it's to a
internet
point
makes it
that
easy to
they
understand.
don't even have
Yeah.
to. They're not
That's
even
true.
involved in the
Johnny's
conversation.
That's
Bownie.
true.
We're the ones having the conversation now. They don't come to the table and say, "Why are you guys looking like that?" We're the ones saying, "Well, this is what you need to do." I mean, we're the ones that's stripping each other apart. Well, I'm just saying, like, it's cool. We can play Cardi B while we marching.
I think
That's
you
fine by me.
you mentioned it earlier in the comment where even in this conversation, we don't put lighter fluid on probably 5 different conversations that we could have, and all of them are valid. And we forcing ourselves to think we trying to have it all in one conversation, and it's not going to work that way. Whereas, like in reality, James, everything you saying is right. Teresa, everything you saying is right. Pretty and green,
And that
You just saying that.
and you're right. And then Wanda, you're
And
right.
Dot.
And it's like if we were smart, like what would happen if we probably would say, all right, James, you got an agenda right there. Go spend an hour on yours, and we keep trying to fine tune it into one conversation, and we spend more time on that conversation trying to cram it into one conversation when the reality is just 4 or 5. We need to do everything you're saying. We need to do everything you're saying. We need to do everything you're saying. And if we were smart and we organized, we would understand that part. Trying to cram this into one is a waste of time, I would
Hey
assume.
caller, you've called in and he says, she said, what's your name? Where are you calling from?
This is Q. How you doing, Wanda?
Good, how are you?
All right. I was calling in because the conversation is great, by the way. It's something that's needed.
Oh, thank you,
But
Q.
there seems to be, for me, there seems to be and I'm not saying this in any disrespectful way. I don't want any of the people there on the panel thinking
Oh, we don't have
No, we're not sensitive. Go ahead, baby.
based off of what I'm hearing from the panel, there's a level of naiveness, dishonesty, ignorance that I'm hearing. And hear what I'm saying. It's levels. There's levels. There's levels to it. James, in my personal opinion, is speaking on the totality of the subject of what he means. James is speaking about who created the narrative of the monster. So, for example, back in those days, black women were considered to be hypersexualized, and black men were considered to be monsters, rapists, and monsters. That's what the first movie was, right? Birth of a Nation. The very first Birth of a Nation is what made is what presented and made black men to seem like they were going to rape white women and they were going to just take over and kill everyone. And black women felt no pain. They were hypersexualized creatures that were just out here just running amok sexually. And so what happens is now, up until this point, we know that when it comes to what are we speaking about, we know that the dominant society has always controlled the narrative. The victors tell the story. And so what happens is that when a police officer, as James was speaking about earlier, pulls over a young black man like myself, the reason why he's nervous and feared or is scared and has a bias is because of everything he's seen through media or has heard throughout his whole life. Black, white, or Hispanic doesn't matter. About a black man, that man is from African American, gangbanger, son, whatever. And when I heard the young lady say she sees someone that's wearing their pants, taking their pants, it doesn't bother her. Well, then she's doing him. That may be true. But however, people seem not to act, but be honest, that they don't profile. When they go off down the street as a woman and you see 3 guys looking crazy as hell, just look like they mean mugging and they upset, you don't know what they may be going through or they may have lost a friend. But 9 out of 10, you may feel something uncomfortable about yourself across the street. And maybe because of the narrative that's inside your mind of what could they possibly be on and what created that narrative. So when James is talking, in my opinion, when James is speaking about he's speaking about the whole war. He's not speaking about individual identity, which is what it seems like the majority of everyone is speaking on. When James is speaking on is that you don't know what your name means, and I don't know what my name means. He's speaking about the whole, black people as a whole. This is when I hear many conversations about community and about village, and I always feel like I don't know if I'm a part of the community. I know I'm a part of a neighborhood. But the community knows each other. We all know each other, knows our names, we know who we are, we know where we're going, we have an identity. And the fact of the matter is that our identity has been shaped by those who oppose us. And I feel like that's where James, and I could be wrong, but I feel like that is where more that James is speaking on.
Can I ask someone? Can you hear me?
So
He can hear you.
that's what I just all I wanted to comment on. And say thank you for the
What, Marcus wants to ask you a question, Q, real quick.
I think what you're saying is valid and it's similar. Obviously, you align with what James is saying. And I think I'll ask you this question, but a lot of what I've said to James today is piggybacking off of what James is saying, where it is significant, these things that we're seeing. It is significant to understand the urgency that comes with us being at war. But given that we are at war, like having a conversation about like if a song on the radio, it holds all the weight that we're talking about, but at wartime you might not be able to have that conversation um, with the same kahunas that you would if we were in peacetime and we were just having a debate about the place that radio songs play.
So what's your question?
So my question being, if we are at war, is this what we should be doing? Like having a debate about how a song reflects.
I wouldn't have a show, Marcus,
Yes,
if we didn't.
we should be talking about this right now. Definitely. How many million views did that thing get?
I didn't know.
Old school rappers are now saying, man, I apologize for my role in it.
Bingo.
Okay, gotcha.
Now I start recognizing, like, dang, man.
Bingo.
Dolores Tucker back in the day was boycotting rap. If we could have time traveled to now, we all probably would have been on the side.
So brother Q, I'm sorry, I wanted to catch
We
you.
weren't able to see it. So what's happening now is in the midst of us having to fight the war, and in the midst of us fighting a war, we see entities like a Cardi B and a Meg the Stallion who has a broader and way wider platform than what we have.
That's correct.
And it can possibly tear down the work that we have put in. Like I have 3 daughters.
It could possibly.
Look at that and be like, I have to have this discussion now.
So it could possibly do that. But let's just say we're the tribunal that's charged with coming up with figuring out what we need to do. And all of us are going to have a meeting at 3:00 to figure out police brutality, to figure out social injustice, to figure out where all of this stuff came from. And we got this important meeting at 3:00, but somebody pulls me to the side at 2:55 to ask me, did I see WAP? And I missed this meeting that we could have, that WAP directly affects. But I missed this meeting where we're going to figure out our place and what we're going to do next, because I'm having a sidebar conversation because they asked me, did I see WAP? I'm not saying what we're talking about is wrong and where we're going with it is wrong, but having that conversation takes away from the conversation about police brutality. They are not prioritized the same. If they are prioritized that way, we got something mixed up.
No. And I'm having this conversation at the community level. For you all know, many of you know, I run Circle Urban Ministries. We're a community development organization. We are helping thousands of people in the Austin community. Some of you have even been to the place. You can't have any other discussion until you deal with mindset.
Yeah.
And this is the show about mindset.
No, we're talking about WAP. We should be talking about mindset.
No.
We
should have talking about WAP.
The WAP is
But
the.
Thank you, Q. 1 second, let me. Thank you, Q. Thank you for calling in. I appreciate your comment.
Thank you, Q.
Thank you, sir.
Absolutely right. This is about mindset. That's where the war starts. That's where the war ends. Take it easy now.
The
Take
WAP
care.
is the springboard that we're using to talk about the way we are viewed. Mindset. We talking about imagery. We're talking about mindset. That is what the first conversation has to be about mindset. And
It
until
should.
you deal with that,
So here's the issue though. If it's about mindset compared to what Brother Q said, because he said something that set me back. I thought the first black movie was Guess Who's Coming to Dinner with Sidney Poitier, which gave a narrative of a black person being in a white person's home. But he mentioned something else. So
The
thanks
Birth
for
of a Nation.
educating me on that. Yeah,
Birth of a
thank you
Nation
about
is
that.
what emboldened.
Yeah, I thought it was Guess Who's Coming to Dinner. That's what they lied and said in the history books. But along with the mindset, there comes the community of being together. We are in a society of MYB. No, I didn't say MJB, which is Mary J. Blige. We are MYB, and that means mind your business. So if we keep doing that, it ain't my son that got killed. That ain't my daughter that's got her titties up, for the camera to view. That's not my son that got shot on 63rd. The rapper that got killed in Oak Park. I ain't gonna worry about it because I ain't know who he was no way. That's where we are as far as our mindset. So we just man your business, don't worry about it, and nothing
And
is
it's not
resolved
so much
because
mind.
it could be all six of us, including Brother Q. But then what about the other 70 million African Americans
And
that
and
don't want to participate?
and here's my thing with mindset. And that's why I brought up the guy with the pants hanging and the girl with the head bonnet. The mindset shift is that's still my sister. That's still
That's
my
what
brother.
we need.
No matter how he's dressed up right now, I'm still gonna pull over and watch the police as they interrogate him. Not because he got sagging pants. I'm sure he got a couple sacks in his bag. The
Exactly.
shift in mindset says he still belongs in my community.
We're not.
He still deserves and I'm sorry.
No, I'm sorry.
He still deserves the protection and support as anybody else. And we saw that clearly with Mike Brown. I used the story on why I left my church. I left my church after they had a panel discussion about Mike Brown. And the panelists said, well, if he had complied and if he hadn't done this, and we later found out that the videotape of him pushing the guy was completely had nothing to do with the events of his encounter with his murderer. But we have mentally been conditioned that we must first see what we did wrong first before we can embrace each other. I'm saying I'm riding with mine first, and we'll figure out the differences later. That's the shift in mindset that needs to happen. That we can't. We're not in a position to pick and choose where we're going to pick up the mantle and who we're going to fight for. We're fighting for all.
and I 1,000,000% agree with that mindset shift. I too have made the same shift. You'll notice. Well, today I've got a little polo for golf, but before most days now I took the suit off and I'm in a hoodie, a hat cocked a little bit, and people ask me why are you doing that? I said because when you see me, I need you to understand I can have my hat cocked. I could be in a hoodie, a pullover, whatever, but I'm an intelligent man with a business running companies, etc. And you need to see that is the imagery of us being intelligent as well. I need you to not be afraid.
And that's what I was
what's the
saying
difference
earlier.
with the booty video
with the
that
booty.
she can be seen as WAP? That
Like, can her character be defined anything else besides hood?
can she be seen
or,
as
trap or
whatever that
whatever?
is?
Yeah.
So listen,
and
she
still
could be
be-
seen that way, but what the difference is what she's saying. If you look at me, you cannot judge the book by its cover. But when I open my mouth, you can judge the book by what I say. You understand what I'm saying? It's what she is saying that we're like, okay, it is counterproductive to the war we're in at the moment.
And that's what that's been my argument since we've been talking, is that we first have to 100% embrace each other. I don't care how they perceive me. I don't care. What matters most is that our brown and black babies know that no matter how you decide to enter this world and present yourself, you are still kings and queens, period. No matter how they
what
present.
I hear
That's
James
why
saying,
it's not important for me to go. I mean, but even when James is in his non-professional attire, do you stop to say, no, person, I am an intelligent man. I just dress this way because I don't care how you perceive me. You don't have those conversations. You said that they're going to judge you by your actions. And that's what I'm saying. Judge me by my actions. I don't care what you say I look like.
In my line of work, I am stopping to have the conversations only because of my line of work. my line of work is racial reconciliation. So my job is to, I feel like I must speak stuff that we can't say in other rooms. So I'm the one who's called to actually say it. So I am saying to them, listen, you see a black man in a hood or a hat cocked to the side with a few chains on, you better be careful because he could be running a multi-million-dollar company. And they're like, no, he can't. I'm saying, you're sitting here looking at one. You're talking to one right now. And they're like, oh, wait, you are. And these are people who actually know me. Like, yeah, you're right. So I've had people with mind shifts from the other culture say, you know what? I never looked at it that way. Let me come to the neighborhood. I want to see what you guys are doing. People who are scared to get off the bus in our neighborhood or drive their cars down our neighborhood are now like, let me come and see what you all are doing. Let me come and hang out with you all.
Let me buy y'all property. No.
If we we add things to the priority list that are all valid. I think the mindset shift is probably one of the more important and foundational things that we could talk about. But if we having a conversation about, if you were coming to meet me to help me with my mindset shift, what was playing on the radio won't come up. The work that you're telling me,
you're saying, Marcus.
the work that if you come to me because you're like, hey, young man, you need a mindset shift, and you sit down with me to do a mindset shift, which I agree needs to happen at this moment, but then we get sidebarred somehow about what's on the radio. What's most important is the mindset shift.
So I think here's what we have to understand. There's different generations. To get to a certain generation, you use a certain tactic. To get to a younger generation, you use another tactic. Cardi B is 25, 26, 27 years old, around that time. So if I was to go and talk to my daughter, who's 26 years old, about mindset shift, I might use Cardi B. In fact, I probably would use. In fact, I have used Cardi B. As a matter of fact, I have. And as I'm thinking about, I have used that. So I would use what's relevant to the people I'm talking to or the culture that I'm talking to. And this is relevant. I got text 52 million views in 4 days.
Yeah.
This is relevant.
It is relevant, but if we're having a conversation about what we can do, we are spending more time on the amount of views, if this should be okay, where it's not directly addressing the subject matter we're talking about of what needs to happen or mindset shifts. You know, we're still physically just reporting kind of like in a TMZ style of what we should feel and what should happen.
All right, so let's go into
yeah.
You weren't gonna let that go away.
Yeah, we saying the same things over and over. But I get the point. I get the point of it all. I understand. At the same time, I do personally feel like to change mindsets, you can actually use Cardi. That's the way I feel. You can use those. That is why we're even talking mindset, because of them. If WAP didn't come up, we wouldn't even be going around even talking about mindset. So you don't have to sit and have mindset conversations and say, right now we're only going to talk about mindset. Don't bring up that the song. I don't think that way. But I understand what everybody's saying. I understand, James. I understand. I get that from your point you're saying, or I feel like you're saying, what I'm hearing is they set the tone of us being seen feminized and over sexualized and over. Now we've grasped it and says, yes, that's how we are seen. And yes, we look good. And that's how we are empowered when they put it in us to even be seen that way. And now we're saying, give us the right to embrace it.
Yeah.
I understand you. So, and that's what we're saying, but understand that was they had a reason to infiltrate us to feel that way, and we're asking to be empowered to do it, and we don't see that the greater plan they have for it. So I get what you're saying. I get what you're saying, Marcus, that you feel like we shouldn't even discuss it. Go talk mindset, or at least that's what I feel like I'm hearing. Like this is a distraction to talk about Cardi B when we are at war, and we should sit and have war discussions. If we're going to talk war, let's talk war. I get it all. And Nemi, you say
we can talk about
you. Yeah. Be you.
Turn your music on in the back and let's strategize at the same time. I'm
take care of your children. Take care of your children. Go home and what you can control, you should go home and actually control your own children, what they view, what they see, what they hear, And with my children, I know when they were young, we didn't listen to this kind of music. Love music played. So if you can control that in your home, please control what your children are listening to. So this, and for me, this wouldn't be what I want my daughter. Now, I do take the time for them to understand the difference but I don't believe every home does, unfortunately. I don't think there are moms at home saying, this is not how I want you to portray or that.
And
this
neither
is
did our
healthy
parents.
imagery.
When Juicy the song came out, my mama didn't sit me down and say, "Girl, don't sing that song because this song is about having orgasms."
But don't you see that sometimes girls will emulate what they see, and do we want them popping and saying this wet pussy?
Right.
Oh, I said it.
So
Just
here's
WAP. And
what's
that's
bad.
where
When you don't emulate what you see, has it now infiltrated you subconsciously? Because when
or
you
if you
later
don't give
need,
it power,
how do you
it
learn
doesn't
not to
have
give it
power.
oh my
power?
God, whether you want to give it power or not, the more
80s
the more you
music
see
was ratchet. It was all about sex, but it was at an R&B tempo, and it played on the radio. I know.
and look at us now.
Let me speak for
Look
my
how
mama.
it's expanded. Okay, so let's talk about the black women let's talk about something more, because so many people feel like this is such a juvenile conversation. Let's bring it to
Let's grow up.
let's
Why
grow up
juvenile?
and talk more things that matter to some people. So do you think a black woman should be the running mate for Biden? If so, who?
I'm gonna let y'all go first.
Well, after what he said, that was trending. At a point right now, I don't think so. I don't think he should pick because Trump, he burnt Omarosa, so that knocked her out the box. And if he did pick someone, who is he going to pick? Is he going to pick Michelle Obama?
No,
Who is it
she's
between?
Michelle. It's allegedly, because he's not come out with a full list, but you got
okay.
Ms. Harris, Rice, Abrams, Bottoms,
Who's Bottoms?
Keisha
Let me
Bottoms,
Google
Mayor
Bottoms.
Keisha Bottoms. We got a black
of
mayor. Her
Atlanta.
last name is
I
Bottoms.
like her.
And her first name is Keisha.
Yeah,
that's-
don't use Keisha.
What kind of culture name is that?
And then I believe Elizabeth Warren was somewhere in the mix. But the other white lady, she said that she was gonna gracefully pull out of the list for a white woman to have, a black woman to have more leverage in the race.
Wanda gonna kill me.
Hmm.
I'm gonna keep a running clock because in light of what we just talked about, I'm curious to how long we're gonna talk about this topic, which is to me is much more valid. And we will have a Cardi B and Megan Thee Stallion.
But
and because of
but
who they
again,
are,
You the one just took it back to
I
Cardi.
did, but I told her she would kill me. But I do think it's interesting that we can have-
Okay, I'm not
I
talking
get-
about that. We're talking about who do you think should run?
Well, here's-
All right, enough.
here's what I love. We can have both of those
We can't-
conversations.
we
So let's
can't-
have it.
But it is
But
valid to say, and I'm gonna get it out. I'm gonna get it out. We will talk about that for 45 minutes, and it got legs, and we'll pretend like a VP conversation about who's going to be vice president of the country, and we're talking about a woman of color. It won't get the same run.
It's getting.
And
So
in terms of
let's
it being
get to
in
it.
terms of it being a war and imagery and how important
I got
it is,
100 comments
we are
yesterday
at
about this topic.
we are at a position where this is way more valid. We perpetuate some of those.
Well, let's
things.
give it life. Who do you got? Who you got?
But you're bringing up the very problem why it isn't. No matter if you try to bring it up, people will still bring it back to that. It's very hard to move forward because people go back to what they want to talk about.
You just get the counter to your point.
While we were no,
You are though.
Yeah, we're saying give it life. I'm able to have a Cardi B conversation and switch over to who, because I have a very strong opinion about who should be picked for VP.
Evenly time wise, but that's kind of on y'all because y'all just kept talking.
And
I was
we got
more than willing
So let's discuss.
to move
We
on.
literally
We're
just
moving
spent
on.
3 minutes discussing why we aren't discussing what we trying to discuss.
Let me make clear. All right. Well, let me make clear the point that I was making with that. I think in the Cardi B and Megan Thee Stallion conversation, the point I was making right there is they get used as a scapegoat. And the content of what we were actually saying was valid for the last 45 minutes. But I think it's more relevant, and the imagery of it is more tied to a conversation of a person of color or a woman of color being able to be VP and like appointing or using Cardi B and Megan Thee Stallion as a springboard for some of those types of conversations get lost when these are much more valid and speaks more to your point about the imagery.
I
There's
don't
good
think they're
things
more
happening.
valid. I think they can all be equal topics. And I think that's what Nimi is saying. Why do we always have to make one thing be greater to talk about than the other thing?
Right.
These are all things going on. If I have 4 kids, I need to talk to you today, you today, you today, you today. I don't say Johnny's more important today. Sorry, Katie. I'm not going to talk to you because right now he's the most important. I got to learn balance. And in this world, I'm going to have to learn to be able to talk about all of them at the same time.
But that's a contradiction to what we just talked about.
So let's explain why it's super important. If you ever change a car battery,
Yes, I have.
you must pull off what first? Positive or negative?
I don't know.
even
Positive?
My car would blow up.
Want to be like that girl in that video.
If you don't remove the negative first, and you take that positive off, and you touch the car battery, you will get shocked. You must always remove the negative first. Always. And in this situation, how can I get 18, 19, 20, 21-year-old, 22, 23, 24 to see a Black woman as a vice president when we're looking at a Black woman shake her tail and we're thinking that's what she's supposed to look like? So
that's empowerment.
That we're telling them that this is what empowerment. So you see, this is empowerment. The question is, and I'm not saying you can't see both. The question is, do you also see this Black woman as empowerment? And we can't have the conversation about seeing a Black woman in a suit unless we first address how you are enticed by the Black woman in the bikini and thinking that that's all she can be.
That's boss.
You think that's boss. So we
crazy.
gotta have that conversation before I can even get you to say, hey, no, man, that's boss in that arena, but that's boss. You understand what I'm saying?
Topic for topic.
My pick is
Yes.
John mentioned a name that I've never heard of, Baz.
John knows his politics. He has a group of African American politics on Facebook. So
Yeah, I've not heard of Baz. I've heard Harris and Rice, but I've not heard of Baz.
I mean, that's what I just told my
So, in this may feed into your imagery, and may fester. The only reason why I am not pro a Black woman as his VP is because of the imagery that we have to support and play a supporting role for this president or perhaps president.
Say more about that.
I don't want a Black woman to have to black-explain why Biden says reckless things on the mic day in and day out.
Yeah.
and that's what he's putting her in the place to be.
Absolutely. The same way we look at Pence, like, why would Pence let Donald? I don't want that burden on a Black woman, nor do I want that tainted on our Black woman to forever say, well, we gave y'all a shot to be VP.
Exactly.
And you messed it up. My theory is it's going to be 4 years of cleaning up if we get another president, and everything we clean up, we will be blamed for. Both parties.
Just the way
we saw that
Trump
with
blames
Obama.
for
Yeah,
everything
Obama got
he
blamed
does.
for everything he cleaned up,
And he was a part of the imagery.
no credit
He wasn't
for
Black
anything. Absolutely. So, well, a lot of people care. It's a lot of Black people that don't like Obama and have set in their mind that we're not voting for another Black politician.
And I was hurt by that.
And here's what's bigger, because I had a problem with Auntie Maxine coming out saying he got to pick a Black woman, because what that does is, if he does not, we're going to sit back and say, well, I'm not voting because he didn't pick a Black woman.
That's what we do.
And you know, we're still being treated, even again by our own, as herd. Just Auntie Maxine, before we even got here, these women they were on the panel to be president. They were running for presidency, and you didn't come out and say we need to have one of these women as our final pick,
Well,
or hold and use your vote. So I'm not for it, because I just don't want us to have the burden of having to take care of. And he's reckless in his old senile age. He goes in his cubby, he's quiet, and then when he come out, I'm like, dude, just read the prop. Read the prop.
That's all you got to do.
Do not go from the script and then go back into your hole because we need you for November.
I agree
But
with you.
that's kind of why I'm not for us having.
I see you thinking, James. What you thinking?
It depends on how we want to play this game, chess or checkers.
What's the chess game?
It's the chess is more serious.
No,
Checkers,
I mean,
you
what
just-
is the? Give me the exact. What
If I'm
is?
playing checkers, I would say I don't know that I. To me, I just want the most qualified candidate.
Exactly.
That's where I'm
If I
at.
was playing checkers,
Yeah.
If I'm playing chess, I'm saying an African American woman, one spot away from the presidency is vital, given the age of the presidential candidate.
But then that's it.
That's gambling. That's not playing
It's
chess.
a gamble because it says that we've never had that. We've had this seat before. We know we can slaughter an election. We've seen it. We made it happen.
Oh yeah.
I'm not saying we should not have a black female. And a lot of people talk about, well, she'll be in his ear and she'll be able to. Seriously, what has Pence done that's remarkable in the last 4 years that we can say, well, Pence is responsible for this exact
Or
it's still-
Biden.
It
in the
still
8
boils
years with
down.
Obama.
Yeah, it still boils down to that seat. I'm saying, and another reason why I'm saying let's hold off on our good candidates for 2024, the real election, because we can slaughter the polls and have a president.
Wait, but let me ask you,
That's
James.
a
When you
woman.
said that was the chess move, are you saying the chess move is to see if something happens to Biden in the 4 years and we get to slide into the presidency?
I'm saying you want an African American woman. If you're playing the game of chess the way the other half plays, you want an African American woman in that seat
Why?
because the next seat is the presidential seat, and she will highly likely be the presidential candidate for the Democratic Party when Biden is done.
Oh, so you're saying she can prep herself for 2020?
If that was the
Not just
case,
prep herself. That's how Biden is
Biden
where
would
he
be
is.
but
a
Biden would have been
shoo-in.
the president 4 years ago.
No.
In
That's
that
why
logic.
Biden is the president, is the DNC's presidential candidate right now.
But I'm saying-
only because he was
Oh,
vice president.
Gotcha.
That's it. That's the
Yeah.
only reason.
That's how he gets.
Well,
we,
I mean,
we're
but-
getting ahead of ourselves by talking about like how valuable it would be if he's elected. He could use that to get elected. Like the
Well, it
black
is-
vote
it
is
is
not
his
the
elec-
split with him. He
Absolutely.
needs that. He needs that help.
he
Biden needs the help
and
of
that's
the black
that's
woman
what's
to get
insulting to me
To help
because
people is not necessarily that it's a lot of undecideds in the black community right now where it's like they see Trump, they know they don't want to vote for him. Biden is not,
And they
doesn't
don't
look
want to
like
vote
a
for Biden either.
Yeah, so having that black woman, it'll help when she's in office, how close she'll be to the presidency, but he may need her to get into office to help.
Well, he
Okay.
does.
and once
I
again,
think
we're,
that's
we're,
the
we're
point.
being
there is
used
no
as the
mate
pawn,
to it.
and that's the problem I have.
There is no
Because
make but that's the game. We have to remember we're at war and there's a game being played. We just don't want to play it. There are rules to the game. He needs whoever she is. He will not be elected president without a black woman.
Okay, so here's my answer though to the game is that we should also be telling our people if the bigger game is the ultimate goal is to do what? To uproot 45, correct?
Correct.
So is it only he picks a black candidate, or is the messaging, or should the messaging be whatever he picks, we should be okay with?
That's not how the game is played, though.
And so in hindsight, we still lose if we're not okay with him picking a black candidate based solely on it's based solely on her skin color at this point. All of the back and forth, and all of them are highly qualified. I'm not taking that away, but it has not once have we heard this is where this person stands, and this it is solely based on her having a vagina and having black skin. Period.
That's the game.
Yeah,
That's how the game is played.
If that's hard to swallow, it's gonna be hard to swallow.
I hate
And to me, the
I
check
hate that
is,
it's that
I'm riding
way.
with you one way or the other.
I hate that it's
Pick
that
Elizabeth.
way. But see, you have
Leave us. Don't make us be the
Leave
cleanup
us alone.
woman.
Let Elizabeth Warren clean up your shit.
you have okay. Most elections are not won by the educated demographic.
Mhm.
You have there is a demographic of people who they are looking for sound bites and imagery. That's how Trump won. You give them the sound bites and the imagery that they need to go and vote. And once you get in office, then you start to, if you can, affect the change that you are looking to affect. So there are people who will not vote for Biden simply because he's Biden. But they will vote for him if there is an African American woman on the Democratic ticket for VP. Period. Most people don't know none of the issues don't know none of the issues none of the candidates got. None of them. Very few people, and I'm talking about people in the most educated circles, actually know the issues. Because when you do that, you get to learn that I agree with the Republicans on some here, and I agree with the Democrats on some there, and I don't agree with neither one of y'all on some. But that's just not how the game is played.
It still feels like a setup. Like you said, if they're putting who they want us to go after, same almost idea, like you said with Cardi B, and that you feed us who you want us to go after when your whole thing is to swipe them at the end. I mean, I do think it's a nice scapegoat that he's a real cushion, and we're really quick to go against you once you real quick, because Obama, everybody voted for him, they loved him, and now he didn't do enough for me. The expectations of this woman, the black woman that he chooses, is going to be unrealistic. Like, she's supposed to move mountains for our people when she will have zero real authority or ability to. And we're gonna tear her up. We build people up to bring them down, and I just rather him pick somebody else to do it to.
And here's again my issue with us is he can't pick he can't pick Kamala Harris because black people really don't like her because she was an attorney general, and they're stamped that she is the representation of all things wrong with the policing, and so he won't get the black vote with her.
Although she just went against the NRA,
we know she's making moves.
That was huge.
Here's the thing: she's a power force. Yeah. She is a power force. But the mindset that we have, again, when we're looking at broader pictures, is that we only see narrowly. I think she would be remarkable. I think she would have been a remarkable candidate. However, in the black delegation community, she created these laws. She got dirty in her job as an attorney general, which you have to do anyway. And so that's used against her, and that will be used against her if he picks her. Rice is a king to Obama, so you're gonna have that sector. I mean, if my thing is, if we're playing chess, we got to play chess all the way, and say no matter what he does, like the Republicans say, no matter what 45 does, we're voting for this period. And my thing is, it goes back to, no matter what he does, if the ultimate goal is to uproot the current administration, fighting over the VP seat ain't gonna get us that. We just have to be okay with the candidate, and a lot of people are not.
So
it's going to be based solely on his VP.
Let's look at this from a chess checker standpoint. What is the ultimate goal, and why is it the ultimate goal? Because I heard you say if the ultimate goal is uprooting 45, then we would be okay with whoever he picked. What makes that the ultimate goal? That's what I want to know.
Well, from my standpoint of view, is currently the hostility in this nation, from its head down to the bottom, comes directly from that administration. There's no good in this administration. From the top down, it is evil and has wreaked evil throughout this nation and abroad.
You don't agree with that, James? Right. I don't know if anyone can see his perplexed thinking. Right. He's really thinking of his chess, what move he's gonna make next. Like playing the chess game, and you wait
because there's no compromising. Right now, we're seeing a lot of handouts now because he needs the vote. But we've been an afterthought the entire time. In fact, he said some very hostile charge and done some. Have you seen Immigration Nation?
Yeah.
He's trash. This
But what is
administration is
what do you
trash.
feel the chess move is for us? What should it be?
Get rich.
Okay.
Period.
Yeah, I keep hearing
And
that
if,
a lot.
and if the chess move is to get rich,
He's not the worst.
Trump gonna get
say
you
that
rich?
again. What you say?
If the chess move is to get rich, Trump is not the worst.
Not even
How are
close.
you getting?
Well, here's the thing. No. And I'm glad. No. And I'm glad you said that, because as long as he's the administrator, it's unattainable for us too.
That's absolutely false.
It's unattainable.
That's absolutely false. As long as he's the administrator, it's easier.
Well, have you gotten rich in these last 4 years?
Yes.
Oh.
I'm just being honest. Yes.
Well,
I think if we
money is flowing.
Yeah.
I'm just being honest.
if you flowing with him, I
I'm
guess.
just-
I don't
no,
know. I don't know
but
any
see,
area in our communities.
It's
And
not
that's
true.
and that to me is the issue. If we're talking community, you can't talk about the small percentage that is getting a piece of the pie.
And
If
be
we're
happy
talking about the whole,
thing.
I'm
the
not
whole
talking
for the
about
whole.
small piece. If you remember, you got to remember, I'm doing this work and I'm behind with these numbers. The communities are getting wealthy upon getting. Now, are
Not
the
the
organizations using the money that they're given to help the community?
Corporations.
Is the question? No.
That's
Hear me?
no. Go ahead.
Are
Go
the
ahead.
organizations in the communities using the money that is given to the organizations to help the community? That's the question.
And,
But
and,
is
under,
the
and
money
under that
flowing to the
under this
organizations?
administration, those checks
But I
and
don't care
balances have been stripped away so that they don't have to hold
not
themselves
for everybody.
accountable to the community.
If we're fighting a quote unquote war and we need resources, entrepreneurship, small business is key. Those sectors do well under this. Like I'm
Under
a real
this,
estate
they
broker.
do.
I'm an
Yeah.
entrepreneur.
Do well.
They're great under him. Like the average
Period.
worker that's working at ComEd or the post office, no, not so great.
Well,
Exactly.
that's
So we
what
can't
we're
talk
now.
individual and
But
community
we
at the
talking
same
war.
time.
If we need resources
And
to
at
go,
war, are
But are
we
you
fighting
all
war for
passing the riches
individual
down
people?
Yeah,
or
'cause I
fighting to
missed the
keep
memo,
Trump and keep
right.
rich
If we-
on your level?
No,
I mean, I think
no.
that's
So
where
here's
most rich do.
here's the thing about war. If we're fighting a war and the war is to get wealthy, you don't put a stopper in the well because other people don't know that the well exists. You just tell them the well is over here. You know how many people we help get resources because we knew that the well was flowing now? Hundreds upon hundreds of people have gotten resources that they would not have and did not get under previous administration.
That is true though. They have it. I mean, because it's a lot of stuff that I'm
It's just like
finding
it's
out.
flowing over here,
I know.
and then
I
they
wish.
rolling downstream like
Yeah.
it's the one well going
But you
straight down.
know what? Again, like I said, it go back to what I said earlier. Our community is NYB. Mind your business. If I don't know you, I'm not telling you. But there's. I never thought about going to Cash App and hitting that little squiggly line that shows me how to invest in stock. I never thought about that before. I heard it from somebody and I was like, oh, okay. So I got a little piece
So
of
they
BS.
pointed you to
Me
the
too.
well.
Right. So I got a piece of
Me
Google,
too.
you know, and if we don't share it, like now they even have this new thing. I'm sure I know NDOT has heard of it, and I know you have. I don't know about Brother Marcus. It's a new thing that's going around now. The shoo or the she or whatever. And so they're saying that this other communities were doing it, and this is how they stick together and invest. But the key thing it's several things: fire, air, water, earth, whatever. And anyway, I'm just teaching you. I'm bringing you an NDOT in, and you're gonna invest $500. Okay, so when I bring you in, she bring in two, you bring in two, blah 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 blah. You do the triangle thing, and when it comes back to this ninth or 10th person, however many is in our group, you're gonna get gifted 500. And so that's from say we got 10 people. Now you've got $5,000. And we keep repeating this and we keep repeating this. And this is one of the things like what he was saying. Get rich. Get rich. Buy some,
So,
but people
from
don't
a-
know about it.
from
Let
a
me read these
governmental-
two comments really quickly. John says the chess move is to right our ship. If you cannot turn the ship of state around without righting it for heaven's sake, it is sinking. The U.S. government system has been corrupted and is sinking. Rico says we are not financially educated to chase that money. Most don't know abort the free resources of local SBA. War is ineffective on all levels if you don't know how to use those weapons to fight
Read my response.
with him. James responded, Rico, Cooper, I agree, but the strategy isn't to get rid of the weapons. It's to show people where they are John came along and also says, right now we have the MAGA people running it. Morons are governing America. Absolutely.
just don't.
Don't pay attention to the propaganda. Pay attention to the
It's-
stats and the numbers.
It's not the propaganda. It's the personal touch when you feel the pressures of what is being said. It's not propaganda. It's not propaganda anymore when we see black women and men being killed, when we see poverty in our own community not being corrected. That's not propaganda.
It's
That's
like-
what we see.
My world is rosy over here, and so I should keep it rosy because it's all glowing and rosy where I am, and you don't see how rosy it is, while other people over here are sinking. I just don't
But
see
if
it
they-
being rosy for
Can
everybody.
what's taking place right now, how it's going to be offset, we're going to need wealth. Like, I'm a real estate broker and I work with investors of any level, showing them how to leverage real estate. And these same people, I go to their house and they say, my alderman don't return my calls. There's stuff going on in my neighborhood. Own 4 houses on that block and see how quick he returns your call to get the votes. See how quick we could be displaced for 7 or 8 generations. You can turn that around in one generation.
And you say they're giving us loans and so we can buy
And here's the
buy
thing, but-
homes like that.
And to the example you gave, you got the 4 houses, now you're in the alderman ear, but then the conversation to that community is, in November, we need another alderman. He got to get the hell out, because I shouldn't have to buy his ear. I should have his ear. We're looking at what's happening in Inglewood. The lady has property. She paid for her property. It is the alderman telling her she can't use her business in the way she wants to use her business because he wants another type of business to be there. So I'm saying, even with that, it's great that you have the ear, but we still need to have the conversation that, if this person isn't working for you, we need to be rallying our people to understand the voting and understand the influence and the power. We need somebody in the community that is the alderman that's working for the people.
But it's we can try to control the vote, or to your point, we can start moving in a direction where we're electing our own aldermen. Like, all the pathways to get to all of these things that will resemble impactful change, you're going to need resources. And we're at a point right now where a lot of resources where we could turn things around really quick. People ignore those things. I have to sell the idea that, like, hey, I can help you get into this building, not a lot of money down. We can flip it in 3 months. You take that and you go do something else. You get your kids through college. How I gotta sell that? But a person doesn't have to sell anteing up on a vacation to Cancun or something like that. And these things will get us in line to the alderman, or get us a better grip on who's in office and not needing a black VP that's a woman. Those things are the pathway. Trump do make it easier for stuff like that.
Let me tell you how we play
so
this
you're
game.
saying for blacks, Trump is the better candidate?
No, I'm saying that
I'm
I
asking
agree.
that.
Listen, black folks ain't gonna want to hear that. For economic empowerment,
Yes, for wealth.
for
We
wealth
agree that
generation. If that's the goal,
If
the
you can
better
survive.
candidate is Trump.
If you can survive.
If
On
you
the
can
streets with the
survive.
police,
I'm
they didn't
just-
kill you because he also
But that ain't got
said
nothing-
Live to
Right.
enjoy it.
Republican, Democrat ain't got nothing to do with police brutality. Nothing. They got nothing to do with that.
It absolutely does not. But it's emboldened again by its leader. When you have a leader that's standing on the podium saying you should be able to knock them out like we did back in the day, that is power that trickles down, that actually is not propaganda, that physically touches my community. And I can't ignore that fact for the riches of the few when my community is suffering. And to your point, I
they're
get
not
it.
smart
We
enough
have to
to-
educate, but we can't turn our back. Again, the mindset is we are a collective. I can't turn my mindset on. I'm out of the community, so y'all just got to figure out how you're gonna get a grocery store, the basic necessities and needs in your community to keep your community afloat, so that it is competitive, so that you can buy property, and that you can build good equity, so that you can financially afford to send your kids to school when they decide that they're not going to be government assistance programs for them to go to college. So, I mean, it does have an impact. If you're talking about personal gain, go right ahead. But if you're talking about the greater good of the whole, if you're not taking those resources and spilling, and I get what you're doing with your organization, but that is minimum. You still have a lot of people were trashing. Again, it was mainly us dragging people that got that small business loans.
Yes.
But Ruth Chris got the loan, and they're not a small business. But had we not found out about it, they would have been okay with it and ran with it. They used the system for what it's worth. When we use the system, we checks and balance each other. Now, once you get the money, of course, you need to talk to Marcus about buying a few properties up. Get one property and wait for that dollar program to roll around and get you a couple more, and you got a whole block full. But we can't say that it's okay to be in this crazy situation as long as my pockets are lined, or I'm reaping the benefits. If the greater good is for the whole.
The chestnut checkers reference applies to this one as well. The checkers answer is, okay, get a few properties and get yourself rich. The chess answer to that is, no, how do we start to gain the influence to create the impact? We're having a conversation about a candidate that we don't like in Biden and trying to cram a woman of color as VP down our throat. If we want to change that, we need more policymakers going to Washington, D.C. that represent our interests. If we want to do that quickly, we can do it generationally. It starts with resources, wealth. Where is a quick way to get to wealth? Real estate. Where is a quick way to get to that where we can start getting aldermen and it can start pushing up?
And that's what
you kind of have to do it.
And that's what I said. And so if I have a hard time for an alderman to listen to me because I don't have enough property on the block for him to want to sit down, but I own a property, that's problematic. You got to go. Because you represent me. They don't see Crandon Street. They see, oh, this is the 8th ward. So let me call your alderman and see what she's saying about what's happening in your community before I talk to Nemia, the individual. And if she's not concerned about what's happening in the community, then when I go to, that's something that the people in my ward have a direct impact and influence. When they go to the polls, they need to vote our ass out.
So I think we're missing the point. If your alderman, just because your alderman isn't responding to person A, does not mean that the alderman does not care about the community. Because
we just use that as an example, but you have aldermen that you don't see them. And what I'm saying is your alderman, when we're talking now, the ward on a city level that we're in, if you don't have your alderman's ear and you don't see your alderman talking about the crime in your community and the lack of police presence, and the alderman one ward over was dragging her feet about getting a damn grocery store in her community. And she had been the alderman for 20-something years. And the moment she had a strong contender to fight her on that seat, she finally put a grocery store there.
Let's go to chess and checkers. Your alderman can't just say, I want a grocery store, let's get a grocery store in there. I'm gonna tell you this, they can't do it. However, if the contingency that is backing the alderman see that they will lose influence or power, they may come together to gather the resources to allow what you're asking for. But that has everything to do with wealth. And we cannot keep trying to change the rules of the game. If the game is about money and power, and you gotta have one or the other or both, period. And so if one group of people has the well open so that you can gain money, then you can use that resources or that money to gain power. But if another group of people has the well closed, so to speak, it sets you back in trying to get.
Well, that's what's happening though. To me, a well is open over here and it's flowing. Obviously, you're under that well. And then I don't disagree. I may not be under the right well, but I don't disagree that it's not flowing down. I mean, that was Trump's whole reason, is to get get money flowing and to whoever he seems it should flow to. So I do agree it's probably flowing, but I don't I do know it's flowing on your end. I've seen the beautiful establishment you guys have made for the. I know you guys are using your money and using it well, and it's trickling down. Is it really trickling down? It may be flowing down, but you sure the caps aren't locked over some of these areas?
I'm so glad you said that, because here's where we play chess and not checkers. There is no money flowing in some places and money not flowing in other places. It's either the money is flowing or it's not.
Right. But is it trickling down? Because it's flowing and stopping at the top with the CEOs who keep it, or
hear me, listen. It's either that the money is flowing or the money is not flowing. You have to know when the money is flowing, what to do when it's
once
flowing.
you get it correct.
But if it's not flowing, then you're hoarding. The money is either flowing or it's not.
And that's my point. A lot of those that do control the flow in the community, and like we've established, you have your aldermen, which are the stockbreakers. They are the ones that tell big corporations, the Walmarts and things, that they can and cannot come in your community. They're plugging it, and they're waiting around on the highest bidder while the community is suffering.
You can remove them with wealth. Like if everybody was wealthy and educated, the fake stature that we've given an alderman will be removed, because like you say, like that alderman just wants to get reelected, and if he sees the tide kind of flowing this way, you're going to see how easily it is to get a grocery store, especially if you have the resources to make it happen, and it is just political or city or code things that needs to happen. You'll see how quickly that alderman can make stuff happen if you show that you have that. If to get that throw, well, we can go to and say, hey, I have the resources to put a grocery store right here. I just need to get past all the political red tape. This will bring 100 jobs and it will do this. That alderman will come quicker. To get to a point to have that conversation with the alderman, you need wealth and you need power.
And
They want that in their community with the right dollars. They want that.
It's a good look for everybody.
It isn't also your alderman as well. Yeah. I mean, look at Father Flagger. He's a white male Catholic priest in a Black community trying to get those dollars, so to speak, to flow. And he's been doing it for the past, oh my God, I met him,
and here's the thing,
35 years ago.
And once the Green Line was refurbished through Inglewood, and those who had access to wealth began to move in, the community is gentrifying. Now we're beginning to see a change in Inglewood. My thing is, if I don't have the wealth and I want to change my community, does that mean that I'm not a valid voice?
No.
This ain't about voices. That's what I'm trying to tell you.
Okay, so it's poker then.
So again, as a whole, as people as a whole, that means we ain't got no voice. We just have to continue to let others dictate.
It's easier to get money.
Now you're going back to the Cardi B conversation. Now you see why that conversation is so important.
It's easier.
No, I don't see. I still don't see the intersection.
I don't see that type. Tie that in. I don't see that.
Because it's about it's about resources. A Cardi B. Okay, I'm gonna put you a Cardi B and a Master P.
Okay.
Same style of music. One took their influence and decided, I'm putting people on. I'm giving back to. I'm gonna use the system, get rich, and then I'm gonna help my community get rich. It's the same. That's why that kind of influence is so important. It's important.
I'm going to help my community get rich. What's the key term? Not the community.
Okay.
His people.
The word my.
No, but I'm saying his people got rich, but his community is still poverty stricken.
Not because of P. P has been putting people on for decades.
And that's what I'm saying. It's going to take more than one or two wealthy people on the block. I'm saying if the influence makers who can make those decisions, if they're not speaking for the whole, not the few people, the Arabs that got the money to put up stores on each corner and listen to them over the people that live in the community, that's problematic to me. And that's call me soft, call me ignorant to politics. My thing is, I want the greater good for the whole.
The institutions.
How you get the greater good for the whole. The question we got to ask ourselves isn't why they listen to the Arabs who got the money. And forgive me,
because they got the money.
Example.
Yeah.
Why they listen to the Arabs who got the money who came into the community and built stores. The question we need to ask is, how did y'all get the money?
Thank you. The institutions that get us to that wealth point that allow us to do that, they're not far off.
Exactly. They're not.
It's not like it's a 20-year plan. Like the information is there where if somebody wanted to take very solid assets like real estate and get started with it tomorrow, they're there. We're not doing it. And these are the things that would create the wealth. So we don't have to, like you said.
Y'all know it's not flowing in our community.
It's not.
Y'all make it sound
It's
so
not.
easy for
And again, I
everybody
can
to get
sit-
rich.
I can sit and
I'm
talk
not-
to the Arab
I do
guy
this
all
every
day long,
day.
but redlining is a thing.
Wanda, you've been in my spot in our community.
I know, but you're talking about. That's why I say obviously it's flowing in yours,
That-
but
what-
it's not
mine is
trickling
ours.
down.
Hold on.
Okay, let's Austin. Definitely in your community, but we're talking bigger than just your community. And that's the thing is that I can look at how you all are trickling down and spending every dollar looking for more dollars. I know the story of you all getting X
But
amount
it's
of dollars
far
to buy
from
refrigerators
between.
and taking and they said use the extra money and get the microwaves. I understand that, but that is not happening with everyone who's getting chunks of money. They're not saying, how can I give it to you? How can I give you all this money I got? They're keeping it.
They're not supposed to say, how can I give you the money I got? The question you need to be asking is, where did you get it?
Okay, so it's on us to okay.
No, at the end, at the end of the day, you teach somebody how to use a net, or you give them a net. If we educate on ourselves on the pillars that create wealth, we will learn that they're not far away, and anybody can do it. Me and you can have a conversation right outside of this studio, and in 10 minutes, if you want to do what's necessary, I can get you going.
Y'all need to go work on Trump's campaign.
Right.
I'm just telling y'all, I don't care. His name, first of all, I don't support what he says, and I don't support necessarily some of the things he does. But when we talking about chess versus checkers in this game, if the game is about getting wealth,
You got a great infrastructure.
you got a great infrastructure to get wealth. Because I used to run the zipline industry. And in that industry, when you had a certain group of people in office, regulations were relaxed a little bit, and money was flowing like crazy. And the industry quadrupled fast. Like everybody. So the question people start asking is, how did you do that? Cool. Bang. Let's go. But when another group started running, that you saw the industry come to a screeching halt. An entire industry. We're talking about, we went from a couple million to hundreds of million to billion to a screeching halt. Then back to billions.
What was the screeching halt for?
Regulations, Democrats.
I'm not gonna say which years.
And
Well,
then
then,
regulate. So when we start caring about
Obama years.
Rico, you bring up a good point. It really does need to be then. If the money is flowing and we don't know, the people who know how it's flowing need to absolutely be teaching classes to teach us how to play that game of chess so we see it, because I do think it's not being.
I agree with you.
I do agree with her. She said, "Well, yeah." You said Rico is a huh? I can't see this from this little picture.
Rico Cooper, I don't.
We asked the wrong questions possibly, and maybe that's it, and maybe we're definitely asking the wrong questions and asking the wrong people. So that's an interesting point, and we'll have to look into before we go to the election polls. Take what everybody is saying and go do some homework.
Yeah.
And so I'm not,
But at the same time, it's cool. Trump has got money flowing, but 140,000 people have died.
And what's the unemployment rate?
Million.
I mean, the unemployment rate is kind of high.
Have
right
died
now.
from a virus that he just simply turned his eye and was like, it doesn't exist. It's going to come and go. Like,
yeah, he said
I'm
he
sorry,
didn't know
I'm
about
good.
it, but when you played the tapes from 99 or whatever, 2008,
just last week.
he knew about it. So
Just last week.
But
he was talking about it.
Again, we still don't share, and I'm gonna put it, the ghetto way. That's the comedian in me. What they do is the Arabs or Arab, however you say it, the Polish,
they
the
take it back
Hispanic
to their community.
They get together. They must have their own little private chat room or Facebook page, and they say, follow this link, and then we're gonna come down here to. I'll give a different area. We're gonna come over to Oakland, and you see all this property over here. We're gonna make this, and they'll use our name. It'll be N-Dot's Chicken. So then when we drive past, we like, oh, we going to N-Dot's Chicken. It's fat. We get up in there and they're like, hey, how are you doing? May I help you? Wait, how did he get in here? And how he know how to fix chicken? But
and he take his money.
and he gone.
spreads it
and
in
then they
his
come
community.
back. They come back next year. Not I didn't say 2-3 years. They come back the next following year, and now he got mobile down the street in Oakland, and I'm getting my gas and my squares and everything. And then when I come in there again, hello, how are you? What pump number do you want? I mean, but us, we get it now. You did say Master P. He did bring the money back, but all of his potato chips is in the black neighborhoods.
You gotta go.
I'm
to
not
the
going.
hood,
You're not going to
hood.
get the Master P chips over there in Oakland and
Or at
Burbank and
Walmart.
Hickory Hill.
Right.
No, you ain't gonna
Why
get
do you think they? Because
I enjoy
th-
rap
Those
snacks.
are
Me
called.
too.
So we as African Americans have to understand the difference between a neighborhood and a community.
We're out of time.
Oh,
Wow,
yeah,
this
we
went
sure
by
are.
really quickly. We probably, I don't know, stayed on the WAP songs, even though that's
No,
longer
I
than
actually
everybody
always
wanted
goes
to
back to
stay
it.
on.
This is
But-
important. If you don't understand the wool that's being pulled over your eyes, you will never recognize, hey, there's money flowing over here. There's money going
It's
on
here,
over here.
but we got to be willing to teach each other. I only know you're the second teacher I know. The other teacher is Dr. Boyce Watkins, but that's when he's on his horse. But he does teach you how to invest in stocks. He teaches our children how to learn and read and know what these acronyms means about stocks. I mean, if we can get together, all of us, and say, hey, let's send out this group email or whatever, on He Said, She Said, or Media Chicks, or on this platform, it would be nice. But how many of us is going to actually listen?
Bingo.
And
Well,
educate
I'm not even
ourselves?
gonna say you how many of. I want us to all listen. Even if it's for your family, if we talk about generational wealth and moving ahead, and not just, wouldn't want just to be wealthy, but actually to be able to teach my children, and they be able to teach their children. So I implore us all not to just listen to what we're saying or take us at face value, or make it spark your own conversation. And if it makes you want to go out and find out where their wealth is, I'm not going to say you all won't do it, because I think you will. I really do believe that you will if you knew about it. So if they're saying it's out there, I want y'all to go find it. I know I'm going to get off here and start Googling. So I want y'all to start Googling and find out where it is and do what's best for your family. I think a lot of times we speak for what's best, how things flow for you. I want you to do your homework, though. Don't take any of our opinions. We're just out here. We do our, I definitely do it out of love and for you all to get another perspective, because I do think all perspectives make a difference when you to make informed decisions for yourself. Hearing from so many different people and backgrounds matter. Namia, how can they reach you if they'd like to?
Oh, I am on Facebook, Nemia Ward, and I'm on Instagram as Kirkland_girl. If you're in He Said, She Said, I poke my head in there every now and then.
Join the group on Facebook, you guys. Marcus, tell them about your fabulous new book you have out and your other books.
I got 4 titles. Most recently, White Lies and Un-American Dreams, which is very relevant for the conversations that we're having right now. You can find more information about me at marcuscarter.writer.
Oh, you're also real estate. Throw that out
Yeah,
there.
about to say, based on what we're talking about today, you can also follow me at carterpropertysolutions.net. At least every other month, I do events that show how to use real estate as a wealth management tool. And the effort is to educate, because the effort is, if one person on the block know how to do it, nobody can do anything about it. But if everybody on the block knows how to do it, we have an avenue for wealth, and we can have different political conversations if everybody's not worrying about how they're going to pay their rent.
Mm-hmm.
So definitely at Carter Property Solutions and at marcuscarter.writer. We need more of these. I think today was fire.
T Bizzle with the giggle in the middle.
Hey, listen, I'm sitting in between these two wonderful men. So you know how I feel. And of course, that beautiful chocolate end dot down there and that sexy stepper on the end. You can find me on Instagram, T Bizzle is a nut. On my government Facebook page named Teresa Johnson. And on Snapchat and what's the other one? Twitter, whatever, Chappy Snap. That's also T Bizzle is a nut. But what we did learn today, and thank you so much, Wanda, for having us on here. We definitely, as a community, as a whole, WHOLE, need to reach one and teach one. So if you want to get in on my
I'm glad you cleared up which hole as we talk about Cardi B.
Hole, it wasn't a wet hole. But we need to do more reaching each other and just go back to how we was, in the 70s. We shared. Y'all some stingy MFers. Stop being stingy.
Come share what you know.
I'm just saying,
How can they reach you, James?
I'm on Instagram and Facebook at Coach James Borachet. That's Coach James. The last name is spelled Bori, and then shade like you spell on a lampshade.
All right, you guys, and then you can reach me. I'm Wanda B like a bumblebee on Facebook. He said, she said with Wanda B on Instagram, and then you can always reach out to Intellectual Radio if you like. We have some great programming coming on today. I mean, we have shows lined up all through the evening, so stay tuned to intellectualradio.com. But I'd love for you to come back and listen to my show. I'm here 2 o'clock on Sundays. I'll be back next week, same time, same place on intellectualradio.com.
Oh, he said, she said, they said, we said, keeping it real with Wanda B. Oh, she's the real deal, keeping it real for real.